lovely. How are you?
Very good, thank you very much. Not bad at all. It's nice and sunny again, so it always cheers you up.
I'm so impressed with the weather. It's been lovely, hasn't it? Oh,
It has. It's been a few degrees cooler up here, I have to say,
has
that
it?
you've
Oh,
had
okay.
it. But yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
have you got your mug? Oh yes, look at that, Kate. See, branding to the cake, and we've even got our posters behind us as well.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
she'll be proud if she's watching, I'm sure.
She'll be proud.
So, apologies for those of you that are tuning in expecting Fem. Sadly, she can't make it this morning, so I've stepped in. So it'll be me and Amanda having a little chin wag this morning, which is always lovely.
It is lovely.
And again, apologies for the little bit of a change of time. Hopefully people will still be able to tune in. But we are busy bees in the Selling Savvy team at the moment, aren't we, Amanda? We've got quite a few things going on, and we realised we had a bit of a clash this morning. So hence why we're coming at you at this time until 9:45 instead of the usual time.
But next week, back to normality,
yes,
isn't it?
Well,
next
good
week.
Point. We will hopefully be back to normality next week. Yeah, it'll be 9:30. So we were going to have a chat this morning about how to best communicate with your agents, corporate clients and leisure. But not that we don't know about communicating with agents, I have to say, but with Fem, that being her other job as such, and she knows so much about it and it's her clear focus, we thought we would leave the agent side and talk about that, maybe get her back to talk about that on a future Savvy Says, and have a little chat about the communicating with corporates and leisure guests, didn't we, instead? So
we did, and to be fair, what Fem has been speaking about with us over the past few days about it, I think she could just cover the whole of the Savvy Says for a month, couldn't she?
I think she could easily do a day's course out of it, and I think people will probably find it interesting actually, because I think obviously she's got both sides of the coin experience, hasn't she, as well? She's probably going to hate us talking about her now, but we will. So obviously she's managed the event booking office that takes the inquiries, and now she obviously is on the agency side as well. So I think that is a really great perspective to have. So yeah, look forward to hearing
it will be
about that.
She'll have lots to say, I'm sure.
Definitely.
But so leading on then, how best to communicate with our corporate clients and leisure guests? I know we've both got experience in that, haven't we? So I think venues and hospitalities now more than ever, don't they, need to ensure that their communication is effectively.
It's not the time to go quiet, definitely.
No, absolutely not. So we just thought it'd be just have a chat about it really, and just sort of chat about how we believe communication should be now in this time. So certainly with corporate clients, I think we have to go back, and I know we've been harping on it about it for some time now, haven't we? That consultative selling method.
Yes.
And I think we need to really address how you consultatively sell to your corporate clients, because now more than ever you've got to show that you're actually listening to their wants and needs. And I think also you have to show empathy, because of course these corporate clients may not have the experience, I don't think. Some may have plenty of experiences in booking events or whatever, but you've got to now be that expert, haven't you? And adapt how you sell, so that you are showing empathy, that you are providing solutions for that client, and you're listening to what their requirements are. It's quite important now, isn't it?
It kind of goes back to fundamentals, doesn't it? But sadly, knowing from doing sort of mystery calls and stuff in the past, they're not always there. That, you know, the listening side of things. And also, I think you've kind of alluded to that already, but like you said, some of the people that are normally maybe booking events in corporate businesses, because things are so different at the moment, and they might be doing a job that they weren't doing before, so they might not really be confident about making inquiry. So it's nice, isn't it, if we can kind of make it as easy as possible for them, and hold their hand, and, you know, make sure that we assure them and lead them in a nice way, but still listening to them,
Yeah.
Because they might not be used to doing it, or they might be rushed off their feet because they're the only person doing it.
Exactly. Yeah, they might be time challenged, and they might need to get that in quite that piece of work off their desk, and need to. And I think also it's going back to those who may not have done it before, and it's landed on, and they might have to organise a board meeting for the exec team or something like that. My view will be that what you need to do for your corporate client is put them in the best possible light, so that you're helping them, you're providing a service, obviously, and the perfect venue. However, you want to ultimately ensure that when it's all delivered and finished, that they step back and go, actually, thank you so much, because it's gone so well, and my team, or my leadership team now have seen me in a different light, and they see what I can do, and then that sort of builds a relationship.
I think it like I say, it goes back to that fundamentals of finding out what their needs are, doesn't it? Which, I said the other week about feature spewing. Some people ignore, they ask the questions sometimes, what's important to you, tell me about your event, what you want to achieve, that kind of thing, and then they ignore it, and they just kind of like feature spew the package, and obviously that isn't listening to what the corporate client has asked for, is it at all? It's just, and I think Fem mentioned it because she and Kate did the MIA talk yesterday on consultative selling. And she mentioned that she'd put an inquiry through, and she'd asked for a sit-down lunch, and somebody had come back and said, is it okay if they have a buffet lunch? And it's like, well, no, because that's not what my client asked for. So it's just listening properly to what their needs are. And like you say, if you do it properly, these can create lasting relationships and major repeat business too.
And jargon, not to use jargon. I know we're awful for using jargon. The DDR, the 24-hour rate, mice, LCRs. Oh, what are the jargon?
LCDs. Yeah, is that what you meant? No,
LCR,
is that something else?
LCRs, local preferred.
See?
See? Local preferred. LCAs agreement.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
God, local LCR, local preferred rates. God.
Well, that's just a point in case that we should be using them, isn't it?
No, because we don't know what they mean. Gosh, and we don't.
Yes. No, exactly. There'd be nothing worse if you're not used to booking an event and somebody says, "Do you want an LCD in your DDR?" And you're like, "What?" But absolutely. I think we forget about that sometimes as well.
Particularly on the proposal writing, I think you have to be very specific, and like we've said, no jargon and things like that, because it won't mean anything to them.
No,
and you don't want to... Go on.
Sorry, I was going to say one of my bugbears is these big, long, generic proposals that are obviously someone's clicked a button and changed a name, and it tells you all of this stuff that actually has got nothing to do with the event that you are proposing to hold with the venue, and that kind of, when I was like booking training to deliver training, it would kind of put me off, because I thought, well, I don't need all this. And also it's like trying to find a needle in a haystack for the bit that you actually is relevant, that you want, so that bugs me. I don't know about you.
It completely bugs me, and all it indicates to me as a client is they're lazy.
I was about to say laziness.
They're not. They don't want my business. They haven't taken the time to actually, and I'm going to say it, but I always do, pick the phone up and actually talk to me. And I can't bear it if as I've always said, sorry, one of my bugbears, but
we're both on it this morning, aren't we?
It's
like a therapy session.
Sorry guys, if anyone's thinking they're going to get anything out of this, we're just being
let us know your bugbears as well. We're always keen.
We'd love to hear them. But when you hear a conference coordinator that literally just bangs out an email, and it's like, no, please pick the phone up, please, let's just chat and talk, and just we are in this industry where we're supposed to be hospitable, we're supposed to like each other and want to win business and build relationships, but one would sometimes you question whether that's the case. But anyway.
And not that it's any excuse whatsoever, but it's more understandable when people are like snowed under. I'm not saying it's an excuse,
Yes,
but at
yeah.
the moment, and I'm not saying there aren't people that are snowed under because of being short-staffed and furloughs, etc. But at the moment, this is something that we can really refocus on in our venues, isn't it? And
Yeah.
make sure we've got it right.
Yeah.
Because there's not quite the level of inquiries, obviously, as there were. So we can review proposals and make sure we're making them bespoke and tailoring them, and like you say, picking up the phone and having a chat. But I also think with corporate clients, it's not necessarily just about, at the moment, definitely not just about the inquiries, but just picking up the phone for a chat that's not actually sales related, you know, where the objective's not to find out what's happening with their events, but actually just how are you and how's things and what challenges are you facing at the moment, and you know, that kind of thing. I think, you know, Fem alluded to that as well the other day, that she has a client that does that, and it makes her want to book with her. She never, you know, she doesn't ask her to, what have you got for me, when are you going to make a booking? It's a relationship, you know, it's rapport building and everything. So even if they're not inquiring with you at the moment, it's spending the time to call them or Zoom them or whatever, even if they feel comfortable coming in, you know, and having a chat with them and just finding out how they are.
And you're absolutely right. It's about that relationship building, because if you show that you're caring and you've got you do genuinely want to know about their family and their well-being and how things are, etc. When that client has that inquiry, then of course they're going to go, I really want to, I want to put it into Amanda, because she's the first person I've thought of at her venue. And you know, and you are absolutely right. It's and it's a nice, you know, when we're at this position in venues where we possibly aren't as busy as we could be, it is a nice thing to do, almost like business development, relationship building, that sort of thing.
But I don't know about you, and I know it depends on the structure at your venue, etc., as to who might do that, and as well as, I guess, who is actually in as well at the moment. But I do actually think that's nice if sort of the BDM DOS allows it, often for the event sales team to do that themselves. You know, it's often given, isn't it, up the line to one of the higher sort of managerial levels, and we understand that because they need to nourish their accounts as well. But I think it's so nice to just continue that dialogue in a non-salesy all the time way with the event sales team as well. We have got some people on. Yay! Morning, Rachel. Morning, Rachel, one of our top fans. Love you, Rachel.
She's a star.
Kate's there. Fem is around, bless her. She's around. Kate, what's Kate putting in here? Oh, she's referring to her. I did a video for LinkedIn this morning about getting in touch with businesses who have the same clients as you, but who aren't competitors, and challenging people to give them a call. Such an easy way. Yeah, brilliant. It is, Kate. Yeah, absolutely right. So yeah, just keeping in touch with people. I know I've done it quite a lot. I've tried to keep in touch. And I think something else that's really nice is if you see things that you think people might be interested in. So I often do this if I know one of my old clients or a potential client or even a current client is maybe struggling with another area of the business, and I find an article, I'll often like, oh, I saw this and thought of you, I thought this might help you, and you know, that kind of thing. I think is a brilliant way to get in touch with people. It is an excuse, I guess, but it shows that you're giving them value and you're not always kind of like pushing for event inquiries, doesn't it? Good morning, Lynette. Lynette's on as well.
Oh, hi, Lynette.
Lynette's hardcore this week because she's been doing Kate's LinkedIn challenge as well. Whew, another top fan.
You just made me think of a point, actually, when you were saying about it's normally the business development or the DOS, but actually having the conference coordinator or the sales execs doing those calls. I think that's a really nice thing to do, because for the development of that salesperson or the conference coordinator, or whatever that might be in the office, as part of their personal development plan, to say, look, you know, you can take ownership of this client now, and also from a client's point of view, because there's always been that communication with the coordinator in terms of the function sheet and dotting the I's and crossing the T's, to pick the phone up and go, actually, you know, we spoke a couple of months ago when I organised your event, would really just wanted to have a chat. How's things going? What's business like? What, you know, and I think the rapport's already built because of the event, and obviously how involved they.
Well, fingers crossed. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So you know, that's quite a nice point that you made there.
And it builds up more trust, doesn't it? Because it's
absolutely.
I mean, obviously, you do what would be classed as a DOS, business development role, with your clients, and I've been a DOS in the past with Marriott. And it's obviously we need to look after our clients as well. But at the end of the day, most of the time, we're not the ones taking the inquiry or making the booking. And yes, we do build an element of trust, but the client needs to be able to trust the event organizer that she's going to do it right and get it as they want it and that kind of thing. So I do think if people can do that, I think that would be a good idea, especially at the moment.
We've gone on a tangent as usual.
We have. It's not unusual whatsoever, but it's a good tangent.
I was going to say that obviously, you know, I think we're in a position now, unfortunately, that we have to be very conscious of filling the diary up with provisional business. So it's a very key at this time when we are provisionally popping things in the diary on provisional hold, that we ask for decisions and timeframes.
Yes.
I know one of my current clients, they've basically moved all of the business from this year and popped it into the event diary for next year, which means availability is very limited because it's already filled up. You know, so when you have got that slot, you have to be mindful that you know there's a supply and demand issue, and you have to get a. And
I think it's a balance, isn't it? Because obviously, especially with consultative selling, it's more about the client than it is about you. But obviously, we don't want to lose sight of the fact that we do need to make sure we get the best business into the venue as well. So I think, you know, it all goes back to the communication, because I think at the beginning, if you've discussed the time frame and everything when you get an inquiry and what's good for them and when they might be looking and the steps they might have to look at before they can make a decision, who the decision maker is, etc., then I think that becomes a lot easier. And if you set the scene and say, look, you know, be honest, we have got quite a lot of
business placed already.
Yes, exactly. If you're honest from the word go and say, more than happy to work with your timeframes, but there may be an occasion where I might have to give you a call and nudge you along a little bit if something else, you know, comes along. So it's all about communication again, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And honesty and being transparent, really. You know, explaining what your situation is. And I think we can do that more so now than we probably could have done pre this horrible virus. Because of course it's been out on in the media in terms of what the hospitality industry has suffered and how we're really trying to get back on top of losing 3 months of closure. So
I agree.
I think that client will be quite understanding and go, I completely get why you need a decision. And
I think you're completely right. I think honesty is really important, obviously to a certain degree. We don't want to be giving away private information, but honesty, and I think we talked about this a few weeks ago, is so important. And I think people appreciate that. Like you say, it's become a lot more honest over lockdown, and just about everybody's in a similar situation. You know, obviously the agents are struggling because they're not getting as much business because the corporate clients are struggling. And the venues are struggling because of the corporate clients, and the agents are struggling. So it's kind of like become more of a helping each other out scenario, hasn't it? And instead of how it maybe was before, which is probably one of the nice things that's come out of it. Instead of it always being like competitive and all about them, it's kind of all about us. It is collaboratively now, I think, which is really nice. But
and obviously if we do get some new corporate clients, it's like, whoa, apart from singing from the rooftops and being absolutely ecstatic about it. I think what we should be doing as well is to stand ourselves out, as in from a venue point of view. That and I'm a great advocate of this, that consider hosting a virtual meeting or sending a Zoom meeting request, because I don't know about you, Becky, but the ability to actually communicate, okay, so we're not in person, but even now I think stands us in good stead in terms of standing out from your other competitors. And I think it just will build that relationship and offer the clients, you know, like they're very keen to want the business, and they're going to go over and above, and they want to meet with me, and they'll and also send your 3D virtual tour and go through it with them if you are able to do that. Just again, it's one that just will stand out and make you.
Yeah, anything that you can do to stand out, I completely agree. It could just be a getting to know you Zoom. It doesn't have to be, I mean, I know we're all a bit zoomed out, but it's still better than just having an email conversation. It's probably one step better from a phone call. I had a client chat on Zoom yesterday with my other arm, my people by people side, my social media. And we got on really well, and I just thought, actually, if we just had a phone call even, I'm not sure we would have built as much rapport. So obviously the best thing is if we can get them in. Now I know that is obviously, it depends on how people feel, and also watching the news this morning, what they're going to allow us to do and not allow us to do going forwards. But you know, we could really stand out if we got them in, because you know, how many times, I mean, we used to do like a show round tracker when I worked for Marriott, and we actually tracked how many show rounds we had and how many converted, and it was just such a high percentage compared to people that didn't actually come in and sort of build rapport and speak to us and see the venue. So I know it's tough at the moment, but some people are dying to get back into venues. You know, I know a lot of the agents we see on LinkedIn that I know are loving it, going, oh, we've been to see this and it was so nice to see people. So but we can still do those little things to stand out from the crowd. You know, they might not be comfortable to sit and eat lunch, but we can maybe give them like a really nice grab bag of lunch to take away. Or when they arrive, maybe we give them a corporate branded sealed material mask or something. I'm not suggesting they won't have their own, but it looks like we're being extra cautious, and we can take them on the journey that their delegates would take, sort of with the COVID measures in place, so that they are reassured both safety wise and also that it won't impact on the events, you know, should they hold it there. I think it's really great to be able to demonstrate that. So you're
absolutely right, to demonstrate that you've got the safety in place, and that they've got the, as you said, they're assured that the events you know, whenever it may be, if it is in the very near future, that that the event will be looked after, that the delegates will be looked after, that the safety policies are all in place, both from obviously the corporate client side, but also the venue side. And like you said, to have them on site to actually see it in situ is a really good point. So
I think it's just, it goes back to, and I'm going to have a shameless plug here, the consultative selling, adapting your sales approach course that we've got coming up in a couple of weeks' time. You know, it just goes back to knowing your competitors as well, and then standing out from them. So all of these things that we're talking about, if you're communicating with them, if you get in your event sales teams to call them, but you're not, you know, you're not trying to push for business. If you're doing virtual appointments or you're doing show rounds with these key things, if you can stand out from the crowd that are out there that aren't doing much, then that's great.
It'll hold you in great stead, and it certainly will hold you in great stead for the future business, even if it's not there here and now. So definitely.
So leisure
we haven't really touched on leisure, have we?
No, not really. But they are, as I know with some of the clients that you're working with at the moment, it has become a great focus, hasn't it, for usual venues that were more corporate-y.
And that's it. One of my clients, their business mix is completely flipped. So weekends would be leisure, Monday to Friday or Tuesday to Thursday typically would be corporate. However, they have just seen a complete turnaround. So no, there is no difference between a Saturday and Sunday to a Tuesday and Wednesday now with leisure guests. And interestingly, these are leisure guests that would essentially in the past only be sort of, you know, 1-2 night stays, but they're 3, 4, 5 night stays now, and they're literally coming and they're having their staycation. They can't go on a plane, they can't do the things that they wanted to do if they were to go abroad, so they've decided they've got their pot of money and they're going to spend it within a hotel that is obviously has been viewed as COVID-19 secure and safe to trade, etc. So but I suppose that the leisure guests I was thinking also it was more on those that want to, obviously, when we can, organise the gatherings, the birthday parties, the christenings, the granny's 80th, the anniversaries. Now, we obviously can't do that at the moment unless it's a very small family of 6, which is not normally the case. But I thought we have to be very mindful that these are a completely different beast altogether in terms of our clients, aren't they? And there's a huge amount of hand holding that we have to do for them. I think if you speak to any wedding and event manager,
I take my hat off to wedding coordinators. I think they're brilliant.
I couldn't do it, certainly, and I absolutely admire anyone who does that role. So if anyone's on this then
I'm exactly the same. I think you have to be a certain person. I mean, I think you've got to be a people person anyway to be in sales, but you've really got to be a people person because it's their special day, isn't it? And going back to lots of the other leisure groups, it's a special occasion, and it's unlike, maybe, I'm not saying it's more important than a corporate event, but unlike a corporate event, it's usually a one-off that if you get it wrong, you can't go back. That's it. And I think obviously you have to be consultative with these guys as well, probably even more so, because it's their money they're spending most of the time as well. And like you say, they need a lot more hand holding and taking through the process and that kind of thing. And something else which really bugged me, it just reminded me, I organised my mum and dad's a get together. So my parents are sort of Lincoln Way, we're up in the north, and my brother's family are down in Hertfordshire. And we were looking for somewhere kind of a bit special for their golden wedding anniversary, for us all to meet and have like a really nice meal. Good God, it was like pulling teeth.
Oh, was it?
So I think I phoned about 5 places, and no word of a lie, 4 of them never got back to me. Even after saying, I will send you a menu, or, even after me giving them information and them saying, I will call you, they just didn't do it. And this is another bugbear of mine, venues that don't follow up. I mean, it goes back to communicating with your leisure guests. So, you know that I hate it when people call and say, I'm just calling to follow up, or they don't call with a reason. But some people don't follow up at all, so they don't communicate back with people. And needless to say, they didn't get my business and some. I slag them off now as well. So, so it's just it's been communication all the way through the process.
Absolutely, yeah. And I suppose what we need to be mindful with these gatherings, etc., as well as hand holding, that we have to, when we're doing, we've made the call and we've listened to what their requirements are, is to detail it back to them in a proposal or an email in terms of what we're saying we can deliver. I know if we don't, more often than not, it just is an opportunity for it to go wrong. We've all been there, haven't we? Where, that a starter's gone out for a one table, it's not right. You can guarantee the mains will be wrong, the desserts will be. It just goes, and that that's just a small example of a restaurant booking that may go wrong. But it's all about the detail, and I think that's why, as well as hand holding, you are very specific in your proposal in what is,
because again, they're not going to be as used to like a corporate client who might be used to attending the event and knowing what should and shouldn't be right, and being able to kind of like either preempt that or whatever. But they won't know that, so they are literally relying on you, aren't they, to get all the details correct and to do it exactly as they wish it to be. Lynette has just said, our team in our central reservations have found that leisure guests want to spend a lot longer on the phone, asking lots of questions as they need much more time.
Lynette,
that's so true.
Right. You're so right. And I've been this week at one of my clients, and literally I have listened to our head receptionist on the phone to a client for a 3-day booking, and absolutely going through everything in terms of COVID, the COVID policy and what they can do, where they go. It almost like now we've become a little
like a
bit
TIC.
like TIC information centre.
I was just thinking that. Yeah. So not only do you need to be more consultative, but you now need to be more informative, because But when you were just saying that, it just made me think, if I was going away, that's exactly what I would want to do. And actually, we did go away to Devon a couple of weeks ago, and that's what we did. We spent ages kind of like researching what places were open to eat, where could we actually go if the weather was bad, was everything shut. And even though we self-cater, so we didn't ask that of the cottage, you would ask that now, wouldn't you, of the leisure agent or the person that you're speaking to at the venue, or the receptionist, or whoever it is these days, bless them, that's taking that inquiry. So we're running a little bit low on time, so just wonder if there's anything else to point out with regards to leisure guests. I think the only other thing that we've probably not mentioned is the contractual side of things, and making sure that they are fully understanding those. Both in terms of like cancellation policy and maybe having a separate T&Cs that you said before, Amanda, but also on the flip side of that, being as flexible as we can and as understanding as we can, because although we might not be able to ask the questions like we ask corporates, like, how are things with you, we've got to be empathetic to the leisure guest circumstances, because we don't know, we can't obviously probe into their financial situations or their work area. So we need to be really empathetic, don't we, about that. So it's getting that balance, I think, on the contracts at the moment.
It's getting that balance, and it's like you say, showing that flexibility that if things are, unfortunately may turn for the worse, that we are offering that opportunity to rebook, be flexible, return, cancellation, deposits, etc. And just quickly, I know we're running out of time. I think we need to also be mindful that you have to encourage these leisure guests to make decisions quickly, because as previously mentioned, the event diary space is very much filling up, and you have to make them aware that your venue's busy for whatever period it will be. And it's also a good selling technique, because I don't know about you, but if you've ever been abroad and you've seen two restaurants on the Strand, one's empty, one's full, you're always going to go to the full one. So again, it's like you encourage them, we need a decision, sorry, I might have some other people that are interested in the same space. They're going to go, actually, sorry.
But actually, if you've been, it's a completely great point, but if you've been consultative from the word go and informative, and it sounds like that client of yours, reception, spent all that time with them, and then they call somebody else that doesn't bother, it sounds like they'll make a quicker decision and come to you anyway if you're gonna go the extra mile. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Well, that's really great to chat to you. As always, Amanda, I always feel like we're just having a chat like we do sometimes on the phone. It would be very remiss of me if I didn't mention just a couple of the courses we've got coming up. So we go a lot more into consultative selling on the 28th, 29th and 30th of September, myself and Fem, and then Kate on the last day, on our Adapting Your Sales Through Consultative Selling. Gosh, I can never say that. That's just 1.5 hour bite-sized sessions for 3 days, so you don't have to spend too long out of the office. We've also got a Prospecting New Markets 5-day challenge coming up in October, and I know that Kate's LinkedIn challenge and the Facebook challenges that I've done have always been dead popular, and it's such a small amount of investment and you get so much out of it. Yes, and then following on from our little chat today, we've got a course coming up, haven't we, with yourself and Fem? We have, yes. Which will go into a lot more detail, will be interactive, we'll give you lots of tips and tools on how best to communicate with agents, corporate and leisure clients. And as we know that Fem will have some nuggets and gems to bring along to that. And then next week we are back at, as you said, at the normal time for Savvy Says, and I think it's about prospecting, is that right? It is. Never stop prospecting. And I think that's with myself and Kate, fingers crossed. Lovely. So thank you everybody for joining us a little earlier today. As ever, it's been wonderful to see you, and we hope you all have a lovely weekend. Take care. Have a nice weekend. Bye. 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 Bye.